What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Packers Report. My name is Joey Petersen. We got a long offseason ahead. So let's start talking about it. Coming up on today's show, I'm going to break down the top notable Packers cut candidates over the next couple of months. There needs to be a little bit of fat trimmed on this roster. I'll give you 5 names who I think it could be. If you think the Packers need to make some cuts, though, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. Like today's video. Some of the ones you're going to agree with. I have a feeling 1 or 2 you maybe won't. But I know for a fact, number 1 you will, and that is Rashan Gary. Look, I believe very firmly it is time for Rashan Gary's run with the Green Bay Packers to come to an end. His play on the field warrants it, and also the money that's going into his pockets warrant it as well. He's got a $28 million cap hit in 2026, and there's 2 options of when to cut him. Obviously, there's pre-June 1st and there's post-June 1st. Now, the reason that you would do pre-June 1st, because I know you guys are looking at this right now and saying, Joey, there's a $9 million difference in both of those. Why would anybody wait until after June 1st to make that cut? Well, if you wait until, or if you do it, designated as a post-June 1st cut, you don't get that money till after June 1st. And free agency starts in March, in less than 2 months. So that's the reason why you would cut somebody pre-June 1st instead of post-June 1st, because then you could use that money for free agency. Anyway, $10 million for pre, $19.5 million for post. Unfortunately, because of his play this season, he's got absolutely zero trade value. And it's funny because you see 7.5 sacks and you see 7 tackles for loss, and you're like, Joey, compared to 2024, it's really not that big of a difference. But the difference is with Rashan Gary, as we know, as we've discussed, he did not get a single tackle for loss or a single sack after the first 9 weeks of the season. And so, yeah, it might look like he had a regular season, or at least a season that didn't necessarily drop off a cliff like we might be discussing it to be. But the real ones know the last 2 months of the season, Rashan Gary basically was a ghost out there. What's the % chance you think Gary is a Packer in 2026? Let me know down below. Scale it for me 1 to 100 in the comment section. Let me know what you think the odds are. Rashan Gary is number 1. Elgton Jenkins is number 2. I believe if the Green Bay Packers make 2 cuts, these are the 2 cuts that they're going to make, okay? Because Elgton's almost makes as much financial sense as Rashan Gary's does. His cap hit is $24.33 million. Now, there is no difference in the pre- and post-June 1st cut savings. You're going to save $19.53 million if/when you cut Elgton Jenkins. And unfortunately, because of that contract, he's got no trade value. Elgton wasn't necessarily available a ton this season. I feel like they have shown that they can adjust where they need to on the offensive line. Got a good feeling they're going to spend a decent draft pick, as in one of their first 3, on an offensive lineman to shore up anything that could be there with him missing. But, if you're going to save almost $20 million for cutting Elgton Jenkins, in my opinion, that's a no-brainer. Offensive line's going to be a big focus this summer, okay? Obviously, you lock down Zach Tom. You got Aaron Banks. You signed him in free agency last year. What's this team going to do with Anthony Bell? Is he going to be a tackle, or is he going to be a guard? What's this team going to do with Jordan Morgan? Is he going to be a tackle? Is he going to be a guard? Do they trust Sean Ryan to be a starter? So many questions. The good thing is you got a lot of time to answer those questions. Keisean Nixon is another guy I could see be on the chopping block over the next couple of months. Monetarily, it's not like it's a massive cap hit in 2026, and it's not like it's massive savings, okay? $5 million either way. When it comes to Keisean Nixon, I've got 2 schools of thought. Number 1, when you see the way that he played at the tail end of the year, his effort late in those games, and I'm talking about playoff game, goal line, season on the line, he's jumping away from tackles. That frustrates me a lot. And I want him off this team. But, the money aspect of it, even if that's a cornerback 2 salary, that's not that egregious. But I think at the end of the day, that's probably what Keisean Nixon is. But is the attitude, does that warrant him staying? I think that's the big question they got to answer. Regardless, I think cornerback is where you go in the second round. I think that's where you go with your first pick in this draft. Reminder, you don't have one in the first round. Your first draft selection will come at number 52. But if you look back to last year, like there's still a decent bit of solid cornerbacks still available at that spot. I think that is without a doubt, without arguing, the number one biggest need for Green Bay. Cornerback. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Name a surprising cut candidate for me down below in the comment section. We're going to round out our show today. Like our fifth cut candidate we're going to give you is a decently surprising one. But you give me one down below in the comments. Real quickly, we do have to talk about our awesome sponsor of today's show. It is our great friends over at Underdog, and the football playoffs are here, and Underdog is the best place to get in on all the action. Let's cut to the chase. You download the app today, use our promo code Packers Report, and you play your first $5, you will score $75 in bonus entries. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players go higher or lower on stats like rushing yards, receptions, touchdowns, and more. Get your picks right, and you could win up to 5,000 times your cash. Here is my Underdog lineup for Monday's CFP championship game. I'm going to take the higher on Fernando Mendoza, Heisman winner, maybe number one overall pick coming up soon. I'm going to take the higher on Mark Fletcher, 69.5 rushing yards. And if Mendoza's going to go off, I think he's going to go off to Omar Cooper. Give me the higher on 3.5 receptions. Download the app today. What are you waiting for? Use promo code Packers Report to score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code Packers Report. Underdog. Make picks, win money. Must be 18 or older, 19 or older in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 or older in Colorado for some games, 21 or older in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia. And present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/playing-good-terms_DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 helpline at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY to 467-369. Back to the cut candidates we go. Okay, we gave you Keisean Nixon, Elgton Jenkins, and of course Rashan Gary as well. Let's stick in the quarterback room and let's talk Trevon Diggs. This one actually, I said Rashan Gary's pretty much a no-brainer. If Trevon Diggs doesn't get cut, I will pay one person who likes this $1 billion. Okay, because there's just no way he does it. You save $15 million. He's a $15 million cap hit in 2026. Actually, I take back that bet. If they don't cut him or extend him and restructure his deal, then I will pay you, $1 billion. Look, he couldn't have any less trade value. The contract is crazy, but there's no guarantees, right? That's why you signed him off of waivers, because it necessarily did not even matter. You knew you could cut him for $15 million. 9 games played for him in 2025, but only 2 of those were for the Green Bay Packers. One against Minnesota, and the one in the playoff game against the Bears, which I necessarily, I think a lot of you guys probably agree with me, thought he maybe should have gotten a little bit more run in. Unfortunately, he didn't. Not the reason you lost that game. A lot of other reasons you lost that game. Trevon Diggs not playing was not playing. Okay, let's talk about the real surprising one. Josh Jacobs, okay? And I know what you're saying. Joey, what do you mean? This makes absolutely no sense. And I don't think they're going to cut him. But I do believe it's at least worth a conversation. He's got a $15 million cap hit in 2026. 14.5, excuse me. You cut him pre-June 1st, you save $14.5 million. And he's got a decent bit of trade value. It's like maybe I would look at him as more of a trade candidate than I would a cut candidate. But regardless, it's worth the discussion because of the money you've saved. And also, towards the end of the year, Josh Jacobs was obviously struggling with injuries, but not necessarily the Josh Jacobs that we all got to know last year. Now, I don't think that's necessarily his fault. I think a lot of that probably lies on the offensive line as well. But still, I think that's a worthy conversation for the money you'd save. I think if they would have hit on the Marshawn Lloyd pick, if Marshawn Lloyd wouldn't have gotten injured every single second of every single day over the last 2 years, and they felt comfortable in him being an RB1 in the NFL going forward, maybe this is when they do cut bait with Josh Jacobs. But he hasn't showed them that. So I don't think they do. And I don't necessarily think they should, especially with the fact you don't have a ton of draft picks in this next year's draft. If you had, 10, maybe you do, and maybe you take a running back decently early, but you don't. So I think you keep Josh Jacobs. Who do you think is most likely to get cut? Let me know their names down below in the comments section. RG, EJ, KNTD, or JJ. Let's get to my weekend predictions. Number one, I think the Bills beat the Broncos. We got the divisional playoffs, 2 AFC games, 2 NFC games. Winner of each will go to their conference championship games. This might be the year for Josh Allen because there's going to be no Mahomes, no Lamar, no Burrow to go through. He's got a pretty decently easy path. I think the big question for the Bills is, can their skill players step up? Because I think of all the wide receivers left in the playoffs, the Bills have the worst wide receiver one in Khalil Shakir. But I still think they beat the Broncos. I think Seahawks beat the 49ers. Now, it is interesting to note, last night or yesterday afternoon, Sam Darnold was listed as questionable with an oblique injury. So that might have a little bit of an impact on the game. I don't think it's changing who I think will win. I just think it might be a little bit closer. And I do believe it's going to be a close game, but I think the Seahawks win it. I'm going to take the Texans over the Patriots. Look, I think the Texans' defense is the best in the National Football League. I think their defensive line is absolutely elite. And I don't want to say the Patriots are fraudulent, but they just haven't won a ton of games over teams who are above 500 on the year. Sure, they just did last week in their playoff game, but do we really believe the Chargers are a team and Justin Herbert's a team that's going to turn on the postseason? Because I don't. And the last up, give me the Rams over the Bears. Screw Chicago. Give me Los Angeles. Give me Matthew Stafford to finish the job that we could not last weekend. Hey, you want the Rams to beat the Bears? Or more importantly, do you want the Bears to lose? If you do, hit that thumbs up button and like today's video. We'll be back later, so make sure you got my notifications on social media. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel with those notifications on. That way, when we post later today, you'll be the first one in the video.